Story podcast and day 51 of our 90-day Jumpstart to 2026 Aloha Always challenge. Today is November 22nd, and the focus is on leadership and love for this week. Today's focus is leading with resilience. Leading with resilience. I woke up this morning and I was so stuffed up. I was like, sinuses bombarded. I don't know. But I was like, why am I so stuffed up? And so I just laid in bed, hoping that it'll just go away. But I'm still sniffly. And I pray that I'm not like coming down with something or whatever. But leading with resilience. When things get hard, when things get tough, when you don't feel like doing what you need to be doing, you just continue. And it says in Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Because things are going to get hard. Times are going to get hard. It's not always going to be strawberries and champagne or unicorns and roses. My mentors, they're amazing, and I like the symbolism they gave in that, right? But the affirmation for today is I lead with courage even when the path isn't clear. So today, take this step. Encourage someone who is struggling. Share a personal testimony on how you push through. Your story could be their lifeline. Your scars make it safe for them to heal. It gives them a safe place. Because when they can see you push through and they can hear your testimony of how you came through, even through the hard times, it gives them hope. And that is one thing that we can give in this world that is so hard sometimes, is to give hope to someone else. So whether it be a bit of encouragement or just that smile or that nod saying it's okay, you got this. Lead with resilience. Because like I said, I woke up not feeling well, but I know that I have one more day of boot camp with GPS, Get Paid to Speak, Kaylee Chu, and I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. So I I want to do my best, even though I'm not feeling good. But I think last night was such a highlighted time for me. I stayed up too long. That's what it was. I pushed my body a little too far, um, because I was so excited about everything that was happening. I wanted to finish the things that I was doing. I wanted to post, to show and to glorify God, that even when things don't go so well, you know, have that gratitude. And it just happens that way when you have the gratitude. Like I did a podcast with Miss Daisy, and it was like she said, when her mom passed, it was like all of those things were gone. But as she started to open up to more kindness and more gratitude, things started coming back. Those, the things that she gave out, the kindness, the gratitude, the love started coming back. And like I said, it wasn't truly gone, but it's almost like we build up these walls when we get hurt or when there's trauma in our lives. We build up these walls and we actually block them out. And so they're not gone. It's just that we built the wall. And so for her, it was taking down that wall by being vulnerable again and going out and starting her business. And for me, it was going to When My Soul Speaks and allowing those breakdowns, allowing myself to be vulnerable enough to let go of things that I never did. And then I was able to dream again. Not just dream, but remember the dreams. And God blessed me with 4 dreams at the different times. And I was able to write it down and I was able to get a message out of them. So it's not that they're gone, it's that we build up those walls. So whenever things get hard, just remember Joshua 1:9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. Lead with resilience and know that that too will pass. But don't build those walls. Allow yourself the time to rest. Allow yourself the time to cry. Allow yourself whatever you need to not build those walls. So that what you need can continue to flow." So that is the jumpstart for today. And I thank you guys all for sticking with me because, like I said, this is 51 days in. And I did my 30-day journaling in September. 30 days hath September. I did the 30 days. And to challenge myself to be here for 90 days is big for me. But what it did for me and what it's doing for me, it's helping me to be a better speaker. It's helping me to be able to draw things out with no script. None whatsoever. Right? What I do have is I do have the timeline. I do have the 51 days and I do have what the focus is. So when I come on, I do have the focus, I do have the scripture, affirmation, and the action step. Everything else is because God gave me a voice. And I want to be that empty vessel that He uses to share a message. And if it touches one life, no matter where it's heard, no matter where this goes out to, whether it be on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, or whether it goes onto my podcasts, Spotify, and out to the rest of the world on all of the podcast platforms. It's too many to name. But if it can touch one life, and if what I'm doing here can just inspire, motivate someone into taking positive action in their life, if it could take this moment for someone to glorify God. I did a speech, and when I got my feedback, one of the attendees said, I'm not a religious person. I'm not a Christian. But man, when you speak, I am right there ready to convert. Now, if I can plant a seed, then I want to be the one to plant the seed. That is the least I could do. God has brought me through so much. That is the least I can do. So, until tomorrow, where we come back with the O in Aloha. So we go through all of the 5 pillars within the week. So yesterday was affirmations and actions, today's leadership and love, and tomorrow will be overcoming obstacles. But until tomorrow, go out, encourage someone who is struggling, share your testimony of how you pushed through. Your story could be someone else's lifeline. My story can resonate with one person, but yours could be the story that they've been praying for. And that is why I am now the founder of the Voices of Aloha movement. And through that, when I first started writing, I want to publish a book every year. And thank God through Inspire Church, Reach People has already been published, and I was part of that. So in God's way, He already fulfilled that and released that pressure on me. But I know that the Voices of Aloha is still going to be done. But when I first started writing the Voices of Aloha, I thought it was about my voice. And I started writing and I was struggling. I was so struggling. I literally have, where is it? Somewhere. Give me a second. I'm not kidding. My great life. I have my story. Where is it? Ah, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. My manuscript, right? I started writing Voices of Aloha, how to turn your testimony into a legacy of hope, healing, and impact. And I thought I was talking about the different voices that I had, like the voice within in chapter 1. What silences your voice? Your testimony is your weapon, and things like that. I started writing it that way. But it wasn't coming out just right. it wasn't coming out just right. It wasn't as I was thinking that it should be. And I was like struggling. And then I realized after, my time with God, that it wasn't about me. It wasn't just for me. It wasn't talking about my voice and how different types of voices was in me, and my silent voice and my speaker voice. No, no, no. Wasn't about me. When God gave me the voices of Aloha, he was talking about a choir of voices where I would be that vessel, that conduit for other people to bring their testimonies out, where I now help other people to bring their stories out, and I help them publish it in a book called Voices of Aloha. So the Voices of Aloha is a choir of voices, not just one voice. Because one voice can change a life, but many voices, a choir of voices, we can change generations. So that is why, like, I am amazed and I'm floored when God gives me these things and downloads these things to me, because it is not just about me. And it started with my first book. It started with my first book, Walking in Aloha. 5 Steps to Living Your God Potential Life. When they told me that I should change the name on the cover because I had my name on it, and they said, "Is the person that you're talking about still alive?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And they said, "Because it may not be safe for you to have your name on the cover. So you can change the details in the book. So if he ever picked it up knowing that that's your name, he would never know that's him. Or you could change the name on the book." And I said, "Well, I can't change the details because that is true life. I didn't make up anything. It's true. So I couldn't change the book." So I was kind of mad. Not kind of, I was really mad, honestly. I told the publisher that, let me call you back. Because honestly, I felt like he took something else away from me. I honestly felt like he took something else away. I wasn't even with him anymore. It's been so many years, and still he's taking things away. So yeah, I was mad. But as soon as I hung up the phone and I turned to God, it was so straightforward. God said, "It's not about you." It's not about you. So I cried. I called them back. And I said, "I'm changing the name. I'm changing my name. Everything else in the book stays the same, but I'm changing the name on the book." Change the name on the book. took my picture off the back. But this is my painting. This is my story. This cover, front and back, yes, it is my painting. I painted this and I used it as the cover of the book. And Phoenix Rose is the name that I used. Phoenix for the one that rose out of the ashes. And that's the way I felt, like I was rising out of ashes. And Rose for Ebalaroza. I wanted to keep a part of me in there without really being in there. That is the creative in me. I changed the name, but I still stayed fully in the book. Everything about it is me. But yeah, that's where it started. From there, when I asked God to help me write that book, and He said, I gave you everything in Aloha. I love that God is very short. If you're paying attention, it's not long, drawn out sentences. It's quick, it's short. And if we're not listening, if we're not paying attention, we just might miss it. In that locked room, He said, use your voice. And I never imagined that when He said, use your voice, many years later, He would use my story. And not just for me, but for others. In Genesis 50:20, it says, I wrote it down because I actually read it in another speaking thing that I did. But I wrote it down so I could get the words just right. But Genesis 50:20 says, you intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. And like I say, I never wish harm or pain on anyone, but God doesn't waste your pain. God doesn't waste your pain. So if this resonated with you, then please pay it forward and share your story with someone. Share your heart with someone. Share a bit of encouragement with someone. Because my story may be what you needed to hear, but maybe someone is waiting for yours. And if you want to be a part of the Voices of Aloha, I'm still looking for stories, and I will continue to look for stories and welcome stories and testimonies. Voices of Aloha, Daughters of the King, and Voices of Aloha, Mighty Men of God. It's 2 separate books, anthologies. And women, they came forward and I filled my first book. So I'm able to put that together and get it out before the year's end. But the men side, it's a little sparse, guys. I need more men to share their stories. So, man, please step up and be that brother to that brother who's praying for your story. Because I want to put that book together and I want to release both of them together. I want to release them as a set, as a pair. So I need more men to put their stories into this book. I thank every author, every person who submitted their story. I thank you for that. I know that together we will be touching the lives of many people. But I still need more. The world still needs your story. So if you are interested, just drop it in the comments and I will send you a link, a Calendly link, and you can set up a time to sit with me and we can talk about it. And then you can send in your submission. The dates on the guide is, null and void. I was writing that out with a plan to get it out by Black Friday, but it's all in God's timing. So that's not going to work because I do want to get them out together. And so, ladies, I'm sorry you're going to have to wait. But we're waiting for the men. And I want more stories in there for the men. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for listening. And thank you for allowing me to share the voices of Aloha with you. But until tomorrow, I wish you guys all a wonderful, blessed day or night or morning or wherever you are in the world. Until tomorrow, God's blessings always and ahuiho.